All right, welcome into This is the Bet. This is a post-game recap of the BYU Sam Houston State game. Kind of go over what happened. We had a halftime show, so if you want to know what our reaction was then, go and watch that. But Tanner, give us a recap of this game and kind of how it turned out.
Yeah, in my best breakdown of what it looked like today, it was two defenses battling tonight. Seemed like both offenses had trouble clicking. BYU towards the end found some success with the run game with their freshmen, but even then, this was not an explosive night for either offenses. Um, BYU, one thing that we're not used to seeing is the leading receiver. Um, the longest uh, yardage was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Where usually with our BYU teams, we're seeing deep balls that go, for definitely 20 plus. But so it just seemed like both offenses just didn't seem to have to click, and that could be either well, BYU's defense showed up. The
Yeah,
question is, how strong is Sam Houston's defense in relation to who BYU will face later in the season?
yeah, and you'd assume them being an FCS team um, that what was I going to say? You'd assume their defense is going to be the toughest one that BYU sees this year. But you never know. I think the offense was just struggling to get things kind of clicking. There was the bright spot, LJ Martin, at the end there, the freshman, getting the running game going, and that kind of, I think, wasted some clock and kind of allowed them to win that game. But I'm going to pull up here. This is kind of the story of the game. So starting, we have punt, then there was that first touchdown drive. Punt, 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 turnover on downs, punt, 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 end of half. Turnover on downs. BYU got that interception in the red zone,
Yeah, that
which
clutch
was big.
interception.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then BYU punted, and then there was another interception, which was kind of controversial. What did you think of that play? Did you see the replay on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I did see the replay on that, and I laughed. I put down a note for this show of uh, home cooking refs because
Yeah,
that's one of
it
those
felt
games,
like.
right? That's one of those games where for Sam Houston, if I was in Sam Houston's spot as a fan watching that game, I'd be like, "Holy cow!" It's clear on the video board, but the refs are saying they can't use that shot because it's not, you
Yeah, they
know.
have their own angles, or they
Yes,
can't use the
yes.
broadcast angles. It seemed
And
like.
then you've got just so many penalties, and lots of them you watch the replay and you see, okay, he was offsides when he blocked it. That's easy to see. They did have an ineligible receiver downfield when the lineman was kind of off wandering around. Um, so for Sam Houston, what a frustrating night to have so many of those penalties kill momentum. I'm willing to even venture and say that Sam Houston scores on that touchdown that was taken away because of the interception,
Excuse
or
me.
even that the reverse that went for quite a few yards. I'm willing to venture to say Sam Houston had a very good chance of winning this football game. This was by
Oh
no
yeah,
means Sam Houston team getting lucky tonight. It was the opposite. They were getting very unlucky, and if things had gone just even a little bit more in their favor, this is a game where I could easily 21-14. Sam Houston takes home the win.
yeah, and I felt the same way, which is kind of what makes this result a little scary, concerning as a BYU fan. Is that this interception right there, the one that was kind of controversial, that's really what turned the game around because that led to the field goal attempt that was blocked. And that was another key moment in the game. He was offsides, which I think that's the reason he was able to block that kick is
Yeah.
because he jumped early. But it's still, at the same time, it was just those little things that went BYU's way. It felt like BYU had a lot of penalties, but it seems like that interception call. There's a couple others. There's a possible pass interference call that could have been called on BYU. but just those couple of things swung their way. And having that offsides on that field goal attempt allowed BYU to go for it and get it and punch it into the end zone, which was really crucial, I think, for going up 14-0. But yeah, even after that touchdown right here, it was just punt, 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 punt. And then, of course, the interception at the very end of the game. What was let's talk offensive side of the ball. What were the positives that we saw, if there are any?
Yes, positive. Positives. I am very, very pleased with the running depth of this Cougars team. Um, Martin is non-existent in the first half, and then just starts getting the ball and just it really turning the game around was that. But Smith in the first half, and even Robertson, oh man, there's too many Robertsons. It's
Robinson.
Robbins. I'm gonna struggle with that
Oh
one
yeah.
because there's Chase Roberts. Anyways, Robbins.
I know.
We've got the depth, which makes me feel very, very happy there. So that would be my bright side to the offense is the depth of the run, and even the receiver class, right, that we were looking at, Lassiter, Roberts, they were there. A couple things go more our way in other games, and we'll see those guys for bigger plays. But we know Chase Roberts can catch. Same with Lassiter. Things are going to start working. I feel this is a week 1 game. Does raise a little concern, which I wanted to ask you about. 5.5 wins was Vegas's over under. Given this key game, now that we've seen the team, what they could be, where do you still stand with the 5.5?
I still stand on the under, where I predicted early in the season. This is one of the early wins I think BYU is going to get, but I don't know if it goes up from here. This game, if they would have come out and won by 30 or 40 points, I might be changing my tune a little bit, but they haven't proven yet that they have it together to get over 5 wins, especially in the Big 12. It's a hard conference. So where do you stand on that?
Yeah, what scared me a little bit was watching the Colorado TCU game. When that ended, I thought to myself, BYU's offense, this seems very similar to how BYU would play TCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Score, immediately followed by a score. But with the offense tonight, yeah, the defense could come up with some stops, but that TCU game could be, the defense comes up with stops, but TCU finds ways to score, and that's a loss. So I'm still on the under as well. We've got SUU, which gave Arizona State a run, but I still see that as a win. But I'm still on that under the 6. I'm at 5. So
Yeah, yeah, and it would if we play some harder opponents, let's say we go to Arkansas week 3, and the defense looks just as good as it did today, then there's a chance that maybe the offense clicks in a future game and they kind of figure it out. I mean, they were without the number 1 receiver tonight, Cody Epps. He warmed up and suited up, but he didn't play. So I don't know how much of a factor he is. I think he's one of the more talented guys on the offense. So having him back should help. I don't know if he'll be back next week, but for Arkansas, he should be back. So
yeah,
maybe the offense clicks. Maybe the defense keeps it up. That's the other question, though, is the defense really as good as they looked, or is Sam Houston, is their offense just not great? We can look at some defensive stats. I think they had, just the 1 sack that first drive, but the 3 interceptions were really what surprised me. The secondary played really well. They were locking them down. We had Robinson get 2 interceptions, one of them controversial, and then the one at the very end. What do you think about the defense? Are they for real, or is this just a bad offense they were playing?
yeah, I wondered that exact thing. I saw some stuff that makes me think they're a little more real than simply playing a Sam Houston team that may have struggled on offense. Those things being the interception in the red zone. That's coming up big.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad throw, but we've seen BYU in the past almost feel deflated when things aren't going, when big plays happen, and letting off the gas on the defense. So tonight felt, at least one thing seemed like they were always in it. They'd give up a big play, but that was followed by three big stops and Sam Houston punting. So at least there's some grit, and I'm excited to see how that goes. But I think there is a flash of this defense could be for real this year. So
No, I agree. I think it's more being, if there was like an over under, if it's for real or not, I'd take the over that it is for real. I think third down played really well when they showed up when they needed to. The only time Sam Houston really threatened to score, they come up with a big turnover. So, but most of the night they really weren't giving up that many big, or they gave up a couple big plays, but they weren't really giving up yards. So I felt pretty convinced that they played physical the whole game, made good tackles, played good defense. So I think they're more on the for real side. Now the offense, we didn't going back to the offense. Slovis, didn't see anything from him that is like impressive, but he also didn't make any big mistakes. What do you think of Slovis? Do you think he's gonna improve as time goes on? Do you think he's just not that great, or what? What are your thoughts?
yeah, I just wanted to see one of them connect, one of those deep balls, because BYU always has that deep threat, and you always see one. It was Chase Roberts in the Baylor game, I believe, last season. We saw deep balls to him. Um, I want to. It's there for Slovis. He had the one that could have been pass interference where the defender had a hand on the collar, but he dropped it in there. So he's definitely got the arm. It's just going to be, can they start connecting? Yeah, that 145, that seems. I was hoping he'd come out and have a 200 plus game and
Yeah,
shine, which I saw more things with accuracy than was shining tonight. It just seemed like there wasn't ever a wow moment besides his rushing touchdown, which they were saying is his first ever career, and he had two of them. So
yeah, he
I
had two.
like that. I like that he is willing to change his game to what BYU would like. Um, to be willing to run a ball into the end zone where in the past USC or Pitt he wasn't used in that ability. So that was
Yeah,
that was a shining moment.
they ran some plays that they ran with Jaron Hall and Zach Wilson. So even though he didn't typically run it at the other schools he played at, they still gave him those same plays, which was cool. And that QB sneak into the end zone was nice.
Yeah.
But looking forward to next week, BYU, they came out 14-0 win, a little bit lackluster. Next week we have Southern Utah from down south coming up to Provo. What are your thoughts on that game? I mean, I think looking at Southern Utah, they played Arizona State pretty nice the other day. Yeah, 24-21. So that was a pretty close game. Do you think they can do the same for BYU? Maybe give them a close game, or do you think BYU is more of a fluke and next week's different?
No, it's definitely there. It's always there, right? With BYU, they talked tonight about the East Carolina loss for BYU. That was riddled with a lot of injuries that led to that. But yeah, you can't sleep on anyone this year. Even Southern Utah, it should be a win. Um, but yeah, I'm just pulling up some of their stats. Passing, they only went for 139 yards against Arizona State, rushing 87. So if Arizona State was able to hold them to that 87, if we get the BYU defense we had tonight, I think we can see a similar number on that rushing. If we shut down their rushing and their passing, this is a win for BYU. If we can get that offense going, I do not want to see another 14-0 again this season. I want to see that offense firing. So I wouldn't sleep on SUU, but I also I see BYU winning this one if they can get the offense. That's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think it's a win next week still. This week's game doesn't really change that, but I think SUU does have that potential. And maybe BYU comes more prepared next week. After this week, they have tape to look at. They have things to learn from. I think they will come next week and play a lot better than they did this week. I think it's going to be a more convincing win, but I do think SUU has that potential to maybe have a maybe the first half's a little close and they give them a fight. So that's kind of looking forward to SUU. It looked like at the end of this game they looked pretty disappointed. Kalani looked less than happy. I think
Yes.
he looked relieved to get the win, but he didn't look happy during most of the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I've got something BYU fans can be happy with. I went and looked at um, penalties as they were talking about the amount of penalties that BYU had tonight, and I don't think it's anything to worry about in this coming season. BYU in the last 3 years ranked 39th, 26th, and 8th in all of those 3 years. So usually averaging about around 4 or 5 per game. So I think this is just week one penalties. So BYU can, with Kalani's frustration with lots of stuff, penalties, I think they'll clean up, and we can say this is a week one. We're figuring stuff out and turn things around. So
Yeah, that's probably one of the easiest things to fix is penalties. It's kind of nice if that's your biggest issue, then you can clean that up and just be more disciplined and learn. I think I don't think they'll have that many penalties next week. I think they'll be able to be more disciplined, less false starts, less holdings. Those holdings were killer. Just a lot of mistakes on the offensive line, which was surprising. That I thought that might be the strongest part of their offense, but the offense overall, besides I think LJ Martin was that bright spot. 16 carries for 91 yards. Besides him, it was really hard to say the offense looked great. Receivers couldn't get open or couldn't come down with the balls, couldn't get break off those long, after the catch runs. It was just yeah, they just couldn't get things going.
no,
LJ Martin was kind of the only bright spot tonight, and which is good because he was a question mark coming into tonight. He's a freshman. You don't really know what to expect from him, but now you have him and Aiden Robbins, the UNLV transfer. So you might have a nice 1-2 punch now, and you can kind of just roll with whoever's running well. And tonight it was LJ Martin.
yeah,
So
absolutely. That's going to be. I think that'll be really big for BYU. So, one thing to be worried about, and I'm going to dive into it and look later, is what teams will give us the most pressure with run defense. Because if this is a BYU offense that struggles with the passing, and we are very one-dimensional with the run, it'd be interesting to see what schools are going to give us that struggle with run defense. And other games where we can shine if those three running backs continue to shine. So,
yeah, yeah, that could make a difference this year. But the nice thing is, hopefully, next game passing offense gets going, and then you can be able to say, okay, we can pass it and we can run it when we need to. Now we're a more balanced team, but tonight it just wasn't really the balance. I mean, both the running game was okay. It was better than the passing game, I think.
yeah.
So hopefully that passing game gets going, and hopefully Slovis is who we hope he is.
Yes.
I don't know it yet, and it's hard to say if it was all on him, and maybe it was the offensive line, maybe it was that couldn't get momentum, couldn't get into the rhythm. That can happen sometimes. Maybe he was nervous for his first BYU game. Maybe they just weren't on the same page. There's a lot of questions, but hopefully after another week of practice, they can figure out all those things.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts on the game tonight? Do you have any other notes or things you want to go over?
I don't know how we haven't covered this. The fake punt, right?
Oh yeah. So that was.
I don't know if you remember back to when BYU played LSU in that horrific game. That's what that fake punt felt like, was where the punter in that LSU game just like held onto the ball and didn't really even move and just got tackled.
Yeah.
That fake punt just felt so. I don't know. It was just. It was. It wasn't. That's all I gotta say. I hope we never have to. You like. I'll take that back. You like to see some sort of fake punt in the playbook, right? We remember
Yeah.
under Bronco, it seemed like it could be 4th and inches, and Bronco was like, let's punt it. Kalani likes to take a little more risk, so I'll give him that. But let's work on those fake punts in practice because
It's bad.
that was in terrible field position for it. It could have easily made the game go south.
Well, that's
So
that's what that's what let Sam Houston get in the red zone, and luckily they got the interception. But yeah, that fake punt, I can't believe we forgot to mention that because that was atrocious. It seemed like it was a called fake punt though,
oh yeah, it
whereas
was
the LSU
definitely
one seemed like it was like
yeah,
he
that
just
was
wasn't. It was like kind of on a whim.
like he
But
wanted to just go for glory and get it
yeah,
himself. So, anyways, yeah,
he
tonight
was like
seemed
in his own
planned,
end zone.
but
Yeah, but there was no blocking at all, and so
no,
by the time he had a chance to like even start running, there's already like three guys in his
yeah,
face.
he went like 3 yards and got tackled. Oh,
Yeah, that could
so
have been a crucial mistake.
yeah,
That really
yeah,
so.
but thank goodness for the defense. The last note I had was the defense's big three, which is Tooley, Bywater, and Robinson. Right, Robinson with the 2 interceptions. Bywater seemed to have his hand in on it almost every tackle, and same with Tooley. If we can lean on these guys during the year, I think we'll be good because they talked about the secondary having, you know, not a lot of returning personnel for that secondary, and
Hmm.
so, but I have to tip my hat to Hill. At least even if this is just a 1 game thing for the defense, it looked like a totally different BYU defense. I got to give him that. So
No, yeah,
thank you to Jay Hill. So
yeah. If I think they're starting to establish their identity. That's kind of what they've been talking about is who are we on defense, and I think Jay Hill wanted to come out tonight and show this is who we are. And you can't really do much better than a shutout. The
no,
first shutout in I
yeah, they
think
said
eight
going
years or
back to
9 years.
2014 or
Yeah,
something.
against Savannah State, they won 64
Yeah,
to 0, which was kind of like another FCS school. And then they said 2012 against Hawaii,
Hawaii.
so that was
So
their last
yeah,
FBS team.
yeah, BYU not many shutouts. So
So yeah, that feels good. I think Jay Hill, the defense just needs to build on what they did tonight. I don't think they're the concern going into next week, which which is a good thing that we're saying that because I
yeah,
think the offense. I know Aaron Roderick, the offensive coordinator. He's proven himself to be a good offensive coordinator, so hopefully they'll just figure it out, and then both sides of the ball will be strong.
yes, absolutely. And then we can hang that Big 12 banner, baby, in
Yeah,
Lavelle letters, right?
yeah. I wonder. I had another question: is if they were nervous for their like first Big 12. I don't know. They weren't playing a Big 12 team, but it felt like there was a different energy at Lavelle Edwards. A lot of fans. It was pretty
Yeah,
hyped.
yeah. The checkered pattern was cool. I know they've tried to do stuff like that in the past. Because you look at Penn State whiteout games, there's
Hmm.
a lot of betting handicappers that put pretty high value on Penn State whiteout. I'd love for BYU to get to that point, and I know they already are with the fans. Like we said, 8-15 games just feel different in Provo. There's always the energy, and so um, shout out to the fans for BYU, and so it could have just been a nerves thing, but hopefully that's what it was, and we see a team that can get their footing with SUU, have a big game, carry it into the following games, and have a good season. So
Yeah, it'd be great being up like 42-0 at half against SUU,
yeah, I think
and then
that's
just
it's ideal.
yeah, and then you feel a little bit more confident about Arkansas.
Yes.
But yeah, it's only 1 week they did get the win, so that's good. It's better than a loss.
Yeah.
So it's nice to open up with a win. I think they're going to get one next week, and then Arkansas will be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's our post-game recap. I got to sneeze. If you want to sign us off, Tanner.
Yeah, I would just say to everyone to like, subscribe. We just love being on here to talk about the team we love and the sport we love, and so any love we can get back really does go a long way. So that's it
Yeah.
for This Is the Bet. And what would you say to everyone, Brandon?
No, yeah, you guys should comment and subscribe because we have 8 subscribers. We're posting shorts. We're trying to grind, but we're just doing what we like. So if you give us more confidence, then we'll just keep doing it. Yeah.
And as always, baby, raw Cougars.
Yeah, go Cougs. We'll see you on the week 1 recap.